I don't know where this is going to go, but every morning I sit here and I watch the news and I fantasize, or whatever you want to call it, about what's going on in the world and how it should be solved. And I was thinking to myself, well, okay, if that's the case, then why don't you put this out and see if somebody agrees with you? So I'm going to go on this premise. I was watching the news and they were talking about the football games coming on and the players, the black players, kneeling when the national anthem is played. Now, my philosophy on the whole thing is that they're inside the dome, to use the euphemism. They're inside the dome, and the dome is the American flag. It goes over the top. And if they sit there and supposedly everybody in the stadium, in the stands, are a mix of black and white, and they're rooting for their team, Broncos or Dallas, and they're together. Now, if the fact that the American flag represents supposedly all Americans, and the black issue right now is the African American, whatever the word you want to use, issue is that they want to be equal. Okay. They want to be, and hopefully they're saying they want to be equal as Americans. And they want to be treated equally as Americans. Okay. So now what they're doing is, and with the protest on the field, they're saying, okay, I want to be equal, but I want to be separate. Well, that two can't come together. Because if you take a cake, and you're going to bake a cake, and you get all of the ingredients, eggs, flour, whatever, the oil, whatever condiments you got to put into this cake, and you set them in different bowls. It's not a cake. It's simply the collection of condiments. Then you take and you stir. You put all the ingredients in a bowl and you stir it up. And you bake it. And it becomes a cake. Now, nobody sits there and goes, this cake is great because it's got so much flour. Nobody goes, because this cake is great because it's got so many eggs. This cake is great. Okay. That's where we are with this issue. If we go in the stadium, and what they're saying is, okay, all the black people are going to root for the black players, and all the white people are going to root for the white players. Well, if that's the case, then they should have one black team, one white team, playing against each other. But there's not. The teams, quote unquote teams, are a mix of black and white, working together. Okay, so in the same sense, now you got the protesters going on the streets, and I gotta say this, my daughter is also involved in this. She is married to a black gentleman, great guy. They've got kids, mixed and non, and they're getting along. Okay, so I know what this prejudice and my own prejudices are. And I'm battling my own, trying to get rid of my prejudices. Back to what I was saying. Okay, they're on the street and they're protesting as a group of black and whites against the inequities. There, the issue is relevant. But when you get into a stadium situation, and it can be a high school football game, it can be a pro football game, it can be a soccer game, it can be a baseball game, anything like in that area that is being performed by a group and is in the United States, it should be under the flag, and everybody should be respectful of the flag. In other words, the tradition is we stand. And we're saying, okay, I'm an American, And then in my heart, I'm saying, I'm an American, but I want to be treated equally, and I'm not being treated equally. Okay. And then put your protest where it needs to be. Not in the stadium, or not in the field, not in the particular, anything that says it's a U.S. function. It's like voting. Your right to vote is because of the American flag. And we're working for the equal rights of everybody to vote. And in essence, we already have that. But it's who uses that right and who abuses that right. And the people that are being abused are protesting the abusers. In a sports situation, we've already said we're equal. We're going to play this team. And we're going to play it as a team. So in essence, why would someone say, okay, I'm going to hold out on the eggs on this cake? It's not a cake. It ain't going to be a cake. It may bake, but go flat. Okay, they're going to, same without hold the flour out. So fine. You hold the flour out and add the eggs. It's not a cake. So the changes that have to be made, in my imagination, is that we need to put the protest in the right direction. This idea of individual separate states, separate this, separate that's not going to work. You can't work it. If you take a company and Ford's, and half of the company makes Chevys and half of the company makes Fords, that company is not Ford's. It's for Chevy or Chefordy, but it's not Ford. So all the people that go to work for Ford's and they get paid are working as a group to produce Fords. Now, we have what they call unions. And the unions say, okay, we're going to protest. We're going to go for equal rights of all employees. Okay, that is separate from Ford's making cars. That is an issue of pay versus equities, whatever. So to say, okay, we're black Ford workers and we're white Ford workers, and we're gonna do this kind of work and you're gonna do that kind of work. Even at that, it's the same thing. It still has to be put together and come in as a Ford. If you can't work together, you're never going to work separately. And these people that are trying to separate the church and state, blacks and whites, all they're doing is saying, we're going to bust up this city, or we're going to bust up this country. People have got to realize that we're a country. We're infallible, we've got problems, and we need to address the problems. We don't need to address separation. And if we can't put this together, then we're going to fall apart. And it's just like with this virus routine, we're all susceptible to the virus. And we all need to wear a mask and act accordingly. And you can, if you want, put this into perspective as to the issues of the government. All right, we put on the mask and we're all fighting for the same issue. Then we find a solution, a cure, serum, whatever. So everybody gets a shot. We can take the mask off. We are now equal under the pressure of the virus, and we are back to being one unit. same thing has been going on with this, with the racial issues. We all can maybe need to wear the mask. Eliminate the race part of it. Address the cure, the serum. Get everybody vaccinated. Then take the mask off and we become a united country. Gee, I'm smarter than I thought I was. Thank you.